Alright, I was gonna show you a video of me on my iPad from about 2 years ago when I first found kind of self-improvement, right? And it's really weird to say that because you're always trying to improve yourself, you're always doing this and that. But for me, it was a quick switch that I made because I had something really, really terrible happen to me, which I'll talk about in just a second. But that's how I mark that day as when I found self-improvement. I was going to show you, but I can't find it. And I have all my socials deactivated because I'm on a detox right now. But anyway, it's fine. Also, I don't edit my videos. I'm not going to put any cool pictures and stuff on the screen. If you want to watch that, you can go watch someone else. I don't really care. I'm just going to talk a little bit about kind of how I found self-development, how it's helped me, and how you can improve your life too. Because I've gone through a few things in my life. I've made a bunch of mistakes, and I'm here to talk about those. So right now I'm just going to jump into explaining who I am. Right? Hi everyone, I am Morgan. I'm currently 21 years old, and I grew up in a pretty nice family. I have a loving mother, father, a younger brother, and a younger sister. And my parents are both into higher education. They both got their masters at Cornell. My mom is still doing her PhD there. My dad now works at a private school in Bangkok, Thailand, and that's where I am living. So I was very fortunate for where I grew up and how I was raised. But that's not to say that I didn't have any hardships in my life. I think no matter if you, or wherever you come from, no matter who the person is, how rich they may be or how poor they may be, everyone has their own challenges and hardships. And for me, it's actually really annoying to say and kind of stupid to say, but for me, a lot of it was relationship problems. I had a huge problem with women because I desired a girlfriend and I desired love, and I didn't get that reciprocated. So that poured over into other areas of my life, which increased stress, feelings of self-worth. My self-concept was awful, and I didn't really like who I was. So I took all these feelings of constantly being rejected all throughout high school and just simping over these girls and chasing them and just really not living my own life, really living for the purpose of someone else is kind of what it felt like. And I did that all the way up until my sophomore year of university. Yeah, so long time. I did have my own hobbies and stuff, what I did, of course, right? I was really into sports. I played most sports, but the most competitive ones were probably ice hockey, track, and soccer. So I had some stuff going for me, right? And you think that would be enough to give you confidence in yourself. But when you are so used to externalizing your happiness and using other people to validate who you are, it's hard to break from that cycle. And that's why I really just hated myself so much growing up, despite having a fairly good life, being dealt a very fortunate hand. I still found a way to mess that up or just like not be super appreciative of that. Okay. And then I got into university. I go to NYU, and I met a bunch of people, learned a lot, made a lot of mistakes, because one thing's for sure when it comes to friends is I went to a K through 12 school. So the people that I grew up with and the friends that I made in first, second, third, or fourth grade, we were friends all the way up until senior year of high school, and we're still friends to this day. So when I got to university and I made friends, the first group of friends that I made, I thought they would be my friends forever. You know, when those old guys always talk about, yo, this is my boy from the time in college, this is my roommate. That's how I thought I would describe them in the future, 10, 20, 30 years. But actually, that friendship ended before that semester even did. And to me, this was a huge shock. For a lot of people, this is very common knowledge. If you go to a large school, you can make a lot of friends, you can lose a lot of friends. But I went to a very small school, and like I said, I'm so accustomed to being friends with everyone, having that small circle, and not really losing anyone, that when I got to university and I lost these friends, it was like a rude awakening. I was like, yo, wait, we just don't talk to each other anymore? We just act like strangers? That's a thing? It's so weird. So for me, it hurt a lot, and it made me just feel unworthy. It made me like feel similar to when I got rejected in these relationships. And this essentially just added fuel to the flame. I was like, oh, am I just not good enough? Do they not like who I am? And just a lot of self-deprecating thoughts kind of seeped into my mind. And then I found this group sophomore year, and who I thought they were going to be my lifelong friends. These guys, we had a really big friend group. It was very difficult to maintain. Everyone appeased everyone. It just kept growing and growing, and it was a massive friend group. And then one of my best friends in the group had a crush on this girl. And he told me about her and all that stuff, and then I actually slid in on her, not thinking anything would happen, because I've just had such bad luck with women. I didn't think anything would happen. I'll just do it. And then she ended up liking me back, so we started dating, and I essentially stole that girl from one of my closest friends in university at the time. So this is some of the mistakes I talked about. I'm not saying it's a good thing, right? It's just something that happened, and because of this, I got kicked out of our massive friend group. So I was outcasted by essentially everyone in school, because our school is very small, word gets around, and everyone knew about it. And they're like, oh, Morgan, he sucks, he's a bad guy. And I also just have a terrible reputation in my school for being too direct with women, essentially creeping them out, because I didn't have that skill built up when I went into university. So I just have a terrible reputation in school. And then all that was left, though, was I had a girlfriend. I had what I wanted for the longest time, a girlfriend. And this was at the expense of everything else. I didn't have any friends at the time. I was, like I said, outcasted from school, so no one really talked to me. I didn't get invited to events. And this also affected my girlfriend and her friends, how they were perceived in school, right? So this wasn't the best foundation for a relationship. However, in that relationship, I learned a lot about myself. Of course, that came afterwards. But after 3 months, yeah, it was 3 months, but it felt like a lot longer. Okay, I was very in love with this girl. Very head over heels. I would do anything for her. Did do anything for her, anything in my power. I was obsessed with her. I was always on FaceTime with her. My screen time would be at like 15, 16 hours a day, because we would also sleep on call, and we would just have our phones open and it would be charging. And my screen time was super high. We were constantly texting, always on FaceTime. Yeah. Anyway, it was my first relationship. I was really excited, okay? But I also didn't do well in that one, and she ended up leaving. And that was kind of the last straw for me, because at that point, I'm all the way across the other side of the world, by the way. I go to NYU Shanghai in China. So my support system is all in the US at the time, or in Thailand, just out of the country. So I don't have any friends, family, and everyone in school hates me. And then the last person who I thought would stay left, which was my ex. And at that point, I felt like giving up. Really. Like I had a past in high school of feelings of wanting to delete myself. I can talk about it like this because I dealt with it for so long, and it was something that I really struggled with, and I did overcome it. I went to therapy for a bit, so I can say this, okay? But I understand how it feels. How it feels like everything you do from this point forward is just meaningless, because what's the point? No matter how high the high may be, it's short-lived because of the low that is coming, right? Whenever I have good days, I feel like the bad days are inevitable, right? I'm doing so well right now. This must mean something bad's gonna happen soon, right? So I had such a negative outlook on life, and I really wanted to just end things there. It was a very dark time, moment of weakness for me, but I was able to pick myself up, reach out to my friends and family. I called my parents up. I was like, yo, I'm dealing with something. Yeah, that was a tough call to have. Just be like, I can't finish this semester. So that was at the beginning of a new semester, and they just pulled me out. So I took a gap semester, and I took that time to develop myself. Also because I put all of the relationship problems that we had, every argument that we had, anytime she felt upset and why we didn't work out, I put all that blame on myself. I felt I just wasn't good enough. So that was a huge motivator for me to want to do better, because I wanted her, no one else. So I was like, if we're going to meet again in a year, 2 years, I'm going to improve myself now, so that if we get into a relationship again, or I see her again, she'll be head over heels for me, and she'll have no choice but to say yes because of how amazing I am now, right? That's the approach I took for it. And I got really into fitness, built up my physique, improved my skincare, my hair, all the looks maxing techniques. I tried all of that. Okay, I got a gua sha, ice in the morning, mouth tape, all these sorts of stuff. And I mean, it worked, right? I was pretty clapped back then, but more importantly, I focused more on my building up my skills. So I lacked self-confidence because I didn't have anything to back it up with. So I got into self-development and how I could be a better boyfriend in the future. And the way that I did that was looking up how to become more self-aware, because that was one thing that my ex pointed out that I struggled with: self-awareness and emotional intelligence. So those were the two things that I really focused on for several weeks. And then I went into this rabbit hole of self-development, because when you look it up on YouTube, that's how I learn everything on YouTube, the algorithm has self-development, right? So when I was looking up these innocent videos on how to improve my emotional intelligence and how to be a better person, improve my social skills, I found these other videos from these guys, Ivan Gazi, Hamza, and I think Dre Drexler. And these guys were like, yo, you gotta start your own business, you gotta develop your habits, you gotta become purposeful. And they were right? So I did do that, okay? And I was on strict self-improvement for a while, where I was tracking so many habits, had a 10-step morning routine, 5-step night routine. It was pretty intense, okay? So I did this for pretty much the entirety of 2023. And it did help. I did improve my skills, started my own business, got more into content creation, found more joy in every day, and was able to appreciate more what I have. Because when you're alone, for the gap semester, I was on my own, really. I was with my parents every now and then, but I was pretty much on my own, no friends, wasn't really talking to anyone. So when you're isolated for yourself for so long, when you go back into the environment of being social and making connections, you really appreciate those much further. So it's allowed me to be more grateful for the amazing connections that I have now, which I'm super grateful for, because when I was trying to improve myself, doing all these routines, I was laser focused, right? I wasn't talking to anyone, and I was just doing my routines, very structured days, very purposeful. But yeah, I didn't make too much time for taking care of myself and making time for friends and family, really. So that's one mistake that was really bad for me starting out with self-improvement. Yeah. Oh, and the video I wanted to show you guys was when I actually got broken up with. So I took a video because after I called my friends and family, I took a video because I was like, yeah, right now really sucks. It really, really, really sucks, and I don't want to keep going. But I know it'll get better in the future, so I'm going to use this to look back on so I can track my progress, because I'm a big tracker, planner, whatever, okay? So that was the video I have, and essentially it's a video of me choking up my words, be like, yo, this is the day, this is how I'm feeling, so-and-so, I'm not going to say her name, just broke up with me. She seems to be doing all right. I hate my life. Essentially, that's what the video goes on. And I actually recorded these videos. I think I've recorded 3 or 4 of them, put them on a secret Instagram account, did some journaling, all that stuff. But during that time, I learned a lot about myself. And the main way that I did that was through journaling. I found journaling to be super therapeutic and a great way for me to escape from all the devices and really be present. Journaling has helped me work through very complex issues, especially when I have romantic problems or relationship problems with friends and whatnot that aren't as straightforward as perhaps business stuff. When I have problems like those, I really like to block out a set amount of time, half an hour to an hour, and just sit and journal. Just write about everything I'm thinking about. And more often than not, as I write things out, I can work through these issues and come to a logical answer. One thing that I've really needed to work on is not being so reactive to everything. When someone would make fun of me, I would get very defensive and immediately react to them. I've gotten better at taking a step back, really asking, why are they talking like that? Is it really just to disrespect me, or are they trying to help me? And when I have disagreements, I've been doing my best to not react with emotion, but rather with logic. So taking time to step back. And I actually would not be able to come to the conclusion that I need this help and be as self-aware as I am now had it not been for journaling. So if you guys are going to start anything for self-development, you want to get better at, I don't know, whatever you want to get better at. Self-development is such an umbrella term, right? So just get into journaling, do it. I know it seems weird. Like, I'm not a writer. I don't like writing stuff, but it's actually really fun. Because sometimes some exercises, what I do is you can get creative with it too. You can do diary type stuff. You can do dear, blah, blah, blah. I did that for a bit, where I would actually take the perspective of younger me and then have a conversation with older me. Because, oh, excuse me. When I take the position of older me, I try to embody what I would want for my dream self. What values do I sort of uphold, right? And for me, that is respectable, admirable, trustworthy, independent, and emotionally intelligent. There's a few others in there, but those were the main ones that jumped to my head. So when I take that position, I try to embody all of those values and talk to myself as if I talk to my younger self as if I am this future self and have already accomplished these things. It sounds really weird. When you get into more self-development stuff, about self-concept is what I'm doing right now. Last semester really taught me that I need to improve my self-concept, because there was this girl that I really liked. I pedestalized her mainly because I didn't feel I was worthy. So it really taught me that I need to just fall in love with myself. And that's what I'm working on now. So when you get into stuff like that, it becomes more raw self-improvement. So if you think it sounds weird now, like, oh, have a conversation with yourself, just wait till you get into more self-concept manifestation stuff. It's kind of weird, okay? I'll acknowledge that, but I still do it. You know why? Because it works. It works, all right? But that's that's pretty much it. Yeah, so I mean, I guess at this point, what? Oh, it's 2025. Holy, yeah, wow. It has been 2 years. It's kind of crazy. But I've gotten to a point where I love being who I am, and I wouldn't want to be anyone else, right? For the longest time, I wanted to change that. I wish I was from a richer family. I wish I was born taller. I wish I had a larger cock. I don't know. Am I allowed to say that? Whatever. It's just all these things. And practicing gratitude has allowed me to be more appreciative. And I really suck at saying that word. I always slow it down. Appreciative. Because when I did not practice gratitude or any of these things, I would focus on the negatives because it's easy, right? In 2024, for example, I had some of the best milestones hit, right? So I got my first viral video on Instagram. I think it's at like 600K views right now. A lot of people hate me for that video. It's whatever. You can't watch it right now though. I deactivated my account. Maybe in February. But my first viral video made my first $1,000 online. Signed my first fitness clients. And what was another one? Damn, I had these all written down. It's somewhere in my journal. I don't have it, but anyway, it was a very progressive year for me. And I always think to myself, it's like, oh, what if I made $2,000? What if I made $5,000? What if I hit 1 million view video? Why didn't I do that instead? So it's very easy to discredit your achievements. So practicing gratitude and having self-confidence and appreciating the growth that you've overcome or growth that you've already accumulated, it's kind of a skill. But skills are all things that you can develop. So you can get better at loving yourself. You can get better at having more confidence. You can get better at literally anything, okay? If you want to change, just change. I know people don't tell you to change. They're like, yo, just be yourself. Okay, that's great. But I can be myself, but I can also be better. And what I mean by be myself is still subscribe to the same ideals. What are your ethics, your morals, your boundaries? What do you do? What do you not do? And what are your core values? That, you don't want that to change, but you can improve other areas, right? Like if you suck at piano and you want to get better at piano, you can practice piano, right? That's not changing yourself. So why see self-confidence and self-love and all these other feelings as the same way? Right, and a good example of this is probably social skills. So I'm a pretty introverted person. I prefer to be by myself, do my own thing, don't really like socializing. I have a very short social battery. But when I need to socialize, I can socialize. And more often than not, people think I'm an extrovert because I can socialize with so many people. But I don't do it because of, I don't know, I don't socialize with everyone. I'm not extremely extroverted. I just do it because I can, right? If I want to talk to someone, I'll talk to someone, all right? And it wasn't always like this. This is a skill that I have developed over time by having awkward conversations with people, stuttering through my words, and being really creepy and weird and direct. But if it weren't for those mistakes, my social skills would not be at where they are now. And if I had just stayed in the mold of being an introvert, because that's just who I am, I would have never improved in this area. And this area has allowed me to gain so many more opportunities. I've met so many amazing content creators, business owners, and made really cool friends because I was just able to cold approach them. So just Another point is to understand that everything is a skill that you can learn. It's not changing yourself, it's improving yourself. But who you are still remains the same. Okay? That's also another way to improve your self-concept. Develop your skills. And that is the journey that I'm on right now. So if you want to follow that journey, feel free to subscribe. But anyway, that's just a brief overview of my story, some of the stuff I've encountered, and I yap a lot, so that's what all these videos are. If you enjoy this sort of stuff, sure to like, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.